Around 2,000 years ago, there was a Roman poet named Juneval, and he wrote about a population that had stopped demanding good governance. Instead, they demanded bread and circuses, food, entertainment, distraction, because as long as the crowds were fed and entertained, they stopped asking difficult questions, and the empire continued. The problems still remained, but the attention had now switched elsewhere. If we think back a few months here now in the modern day, Britain felt like a pressure cooker. Every day seemed to bring yet another headline, an illegal immigrant that had attacked someone in the streets, hotel protests, community tensions, violent crime and public anger. Social media was full of it, and people were saying that the country just could not go on like this. It felt as though something had to give, like very soon. Then, everything just changed. Or did it? Because suddenly the media was pumping out the conversation about the football, the World Cup, the political infighting between Andy Burnham and Starmer. Who's up, who's down, all of these leadership rumours and the endless Westminster drama. Every day there was a new story, a new outrage, a new personality to look at and a new distraction. But ask ourselves one simple question and we might realise what's actually going on. Did the underlying issues disappear? Or did our attention simply be directed elsewhere? Because attention is finite. And when we're looking over here, we're rarely looking over there. And now summer's arriving. The schools are just about to break up. Families are going to be going on holiday. Parliament's about to head into recess. And politics will start to slow down naturally. And the news cycle will start to fill with much lighter stories. And then before long, autumn's here, and we've still got the same problems, the same debates, the same frustrations, waiting exactly where we left them. Because even if politics increasingly resembles entertainment nowadays, and personalities are replacing policies and arguments are replacing solutions, the contest becomes who's won today's headline, not who's solved tomorrow's problem. And right now, if you look at the news, whether it's debates over Nigel Farage, Count Binface, Andy Burnham, Kemi Badenoch, Rupert Lowe or anyone else, it's always worth asking a bigger question. Are we following personalities or are we measuring results? Because this isn't about just one politician or one party. It's about us. And how often do we mistake a new headline for meaningful change? Because changing the conversation isn't the same as changing the country. And we'll see that in the news over the next week or so as Andy Burnham starts to announce all of these fantastic gestures. What will they actually do? Because real change is rarely that dramatic. It's the hard work behind the scenes, the legislation, the institutions, all of the communities coming together, the culture consolidating and people being accountable. This slow, often unglamorous work that continues long after the cameras have moved on, that's what's really important. That's what we need to be focusing on. So next time the national conversation sudden shifts, pause and ask yourself, what then just got stopped being discussed? What problems are still there? And who benefits if the attention is moved elsewhere? Because perhaps the bread and circuses that Juneval spoke of, it never really disappeared. It just evolved. But we can see this now, can't we?